thank you again. And I do want to introduce Bob, who's going to come up and say a few words and greet you as well. And I do want to say, while I have the microphone, to thank you to Bob. It's been wonderful getting to know him this year. And I always tell people, because people always ask me, oh, do you know Bob? And how is Bob? And I always say, Bob is just like he is in the videos. He's just as gregarious. He's just as friendly. He's just as outgoing. He's just as kind and compassionate as you think he is. And he really portrays it well in his videos. And he's just like that in person, even one-on-one, when we're talking about business or personal or whatever it may be. So I really appreciate his leadership and his guidance as much as you do as well. So thank you. And Bob, come on up.
Big hand for JD, everyone, the new executive director of HOWA. Years ago, when we started HOWA, I approached Sue Ann. I knew I am not the person to detail person. The things she does and our child's play to her would just be, oh man, I couldn't even begin to do those things. And I said, I'm thinking about starting a nonprofit, but I can't do it without you. She promised me 3 years. She said, I'm retired. I don't want another job. And it was a full-time job. And she agreed to give me 3 years. And 5 years later, and 100-hour weeks, every one of them, she turned the reins over to JD, and we are in good hands. JD has done a fantastic job and going to continue. So I was asked to come and speak some inspirational words. So be ready to be dazzled. Money back guaranteed. If I don't dazzle you, we'll give you your money back. So there you go. You are the beating heart of HOWA. We kind of try to put together a halfway decent skeleton and frame and muscles and goat power, but you're the beating heart. This would just be a dead, musty thing that somehow got up off the ground and walked around without you. You are what makes this this whole organization anything at all. And we strive hard to be worthy of you, but sometimes we are succeeding, sometimes we don't. But you are what we have in mind at all times. You, the wonderful people who care so much for others, and you'll come out here and you'll stand around. Who knows what the weather will bring? It's almost common to have rain and windstorms, and you'll meet some grouchy people, and you'll be here, and almost all of you, almost all of the time, will have a smile, and you'll be gracious. It's just amazing. So let me tell you a little story. After the first year we were here at the Quartzsite Park. There you go, ballpark. Senior moment there. Since I'm the only senior here, that's okay, I guess. And so after we were done, and everyone would in the community, people would come and talk to us. They were just amazed at the volunteers. We had other nonprofits in town approach us and say, how did you get all those wonderful volunteers? And can we borrow them? Literally, they wanted to know if maybe some of you would volunteer for some of the other organizations in town. And you can feel it when during the RTR, when people walk in, when they encounter you, and then they encounter another volunteer, they can just feel your loving and compassion and caring. And it's an astounding thing. It really is. And every time I come to these events, when we're putting these on and I'm here, and I think it's just astounding. Where did we find all these amazing people? And I'm sure that you have found that in your life as you have become a nomad and you travel around, and you just out in the middle of nowhere, you'll find another nomad and you'll start to get to know them, and before long you think, this is a really great guy or a really great gal, and wow, I'm just so glad I've met them. And there's just something about being a nomad that brings out the very best of people. And I think it's there in it's there in all of us. It just gets hidden away by the world we live in, and we forget just who we are and how wonderful we are. And you are the ones who found that and are here to give it away. Well, I hope you're dazzled so far. Okay, good. Good. Sounds like you are. So I'm going to talk about two people, and you'll know their names. And the first person I want to talk about is Benjamin Franklin. I'm a big fan of Benjamin Franklin. I've read a couple of autobiographies. And one of the things that he did in his life early on as a young man, he started a journal. He was a big journaling guy. And in his journal, every morning, he asked himself, and he wrote it out, and he said, "What good will I do today?" And he made it his goal, and you can read this in his autobiography. He put out an autobiography in the 1700s or whatever, late 1700s, and it's in there, and you can just read it yourself. You can get it for free online as a PDF. And he said, so every morning I asked myself, what good would I do today? And then as he went through the day, he thought about what good would he do? And if you don't think about it, it won't happen. And then every night, he would sit down with his journal again, and he would write out. He would try to say, what good did I do today? And that just became, in the beginning it's mechanical. That's mechanical for a while. And you go through the routines, and you go through your day, and you think, well, I got to do something good today. Oh, I can do that. That's I'll do that. And then tonight I have something to write down. And that's mechanical and it's routine. But after a while, man, it just worms your way into your heart, and it becomes your heart, and it becomes who you are. And he did that his entire life. And he also did something else with his journal. He had, and in his autobiography he says, he sought out to attain moral perfection. And so every day he had a list of 13 virtues, and he made up his own. He took them from the world's values, and he made 13 virtues. And he was a printer, so he printed out this sheet with the name of the 13 virtues and the 7 days of the week. And every day he would go through. Did I keep this virtue? And was I humble? Was a big one, because he was not a humble man by nature, and he had to teach himself to be humble. He had to go through the mechanical routine of being humble, and then he became a humble man. And so he went through. He did it all his life, and he said in his autobiography, he said, "This was what I strove to be moral perfection. Of course, I failed, but I'm a better man because of it." And then when America in 1776, he was there, and there are 5 major documents that were signed during the Revolutionary War and when we were breaking away from England. And he is the only founding father that signed all 5, because he was there through all of the events, and he was instrumental. And of course, if you pull out a $100 bill, there he is. We celebrate him today as one of his book, Poor Man Almanac. You can still go to the store and buy it today, and he's an example. And it's easy then to think, well, I'm not going to be Benjamin Franklin. I'm not going to sign any of the documents that changed the world. He literally changed the world. And then I think about Mother Teresa. And she just started out as another nun, and she went to Calcutta and worked in the streets and fed the poor and did more and did more. And I'm sure for a long time in the beginning it was mechanical. And after a while it became who she was, and then later on she was a saint. And she has a lot of quotes that I really love. And one of the quotes she says is, not everyone can do great things, but everyone can do small things with great love. And that is a little motto that that's Benjamin Franklin said, what good would I do today? And that's how I kind of modify it. Now, what small thing today can I do with great love? And so I have made it a goal for decades now that everyone I meet, that the universe puts them in front of me for a reason, and it is my obligation, is my responsibility, it is my great honor and duty to do everything I can for that person for that brief period of time. And it's always, almost always, tiny. You know, I'll meet someone at the store and I'll make sure I smile, and if I can think of a joke, I'll say a joke, or if I can think of something nice, I'll say something nice. And so that's what you're doing here. You are aiming for moral perfection. And I suspect there aren't many of us that are going to attain it, but you can aim for it. And like Benjamin Franklin said, his life is so much better. Why was he able to go to France and woo the entire nation of France over and have them go into a war with this upstart country that had no chance of winning? Because of the character and the morality and the ethics, the human being he had become. Although he was an incredibly great man, he had a great humility about him. And I think that's true of each and every one of you. That's why you're here. That's why you say, I can go there and I can make a difference in people's lives. And yeah, it's a small thing. You know, standing in the parking lot all day, it appears to be a small thing. But if you do it with great love, which you all are, we can feel it, we can see it, it becomes a great thing, an enormous thing. It's the thing that changes the world. It's the thing that drives the world. So I don't think I'm going to dazzle you. I can't even begin to dazzle you by compared to how much you dazzle me. And I am so grateful to know each and every one of you and to have played the tiniest part in making your life better is the great joy of my life. It's the reason I wake up every morning and keep going. And I hope that for you. I hope that joy for you. And I know that you being here, you found it. And thank you. Thank you.